Are you a human being? Are you also a Browns fan? Well, if you said yes to both of those things, and there's a good chance you're probably a little tired of our local Cleveland Brown sports media. Same old thing, day after day, night after night. It's time to hang the cleats up. It's time to pass the torch. If you're looking for something fun, something fresh, something where four people literally smack themselves in the face over and over with hot take after hot take, then my boys at Down with the Browns is where you want to be. It's just good for your soul. Available on Apple Podcast, YouTube, and Twitter. Getting down with the Browns.
And welcome back to another episode of Dine with the Browns, baby. We've got a very special guest today. We've got Disturbed Marine, Dave Parrish, with us today.
Gentlemen, what a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we appreciate you hopping on.
Disturbed. We appreciate it.
I wish we had a better Monday to give you. I'm
Yes.
so sorry. Their
Yeah,
first time being on the show, and it's got to be on Black Monday. So
It definitely is on Black Monday. Yes, sir.
I don't know. I mean, I think that us getting rid of Joe Woods is pretty good. I mean, when I woke up this morning and I saw that pop up on my phone, Joe Woods has been let go. It's like, yes, starting off on a good note. So,
Yeah, no, it's
what's that sign
one
say you
half
got
of the
there?
messed up. Oh, that says fourth place in the AFC North. Just want to remind everybody, since everybody just loved oh my gosh, Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry addressed the media. Oh, they just calmed all of our concerns down and didn't answer anything in the process. I mean, I get it that you want to be professional, and a lot of football guys in the media will do that, and they'll dance around it. They don't want to give you kind of the whole picture, for good reasons and for bad.
Right.
But it's like you're telling me we had them up there for 20 minutes and we didn't learn a single damn thing.
Yeah, I think
Not any bit of insight on like what is going on. It's kind of you want to kind of summarize Kevin. So we got defense coordinator done. We're getting a new one, no problem there.
Right.
But there's still the other side of the ball that needs to be addressed, and I'd really like to know. So if you're going to take Nick Chubb off the field for third down, that's fine. But you take Nick Chubb off the field on third down, on 3rd and 2, and you still run the ball? Like, don't you think that we at least kind of deserve an answer on, like, the just idiocracy that is the play calling this late in the season? It's laughable that we watched what we watched yesterday, last afternoon. And we're sitting here today, and we're just perfectly fine with just running it back strictly on blind faith.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just, man, I'm just so sick of everything. Like, I mean, I get running it back with Stefanski. The offense statistically, analytically looked all right. If you just look pure stats, I know. It wasn't pretty to watch. I don't think taking Nick Chubb out on third down is the smartest thing to do when he's the best running back in the league.
right.
But getting Joe Woods out, I think was the right step. We all knew that was happening anyways,
Right.
but it was, I think, a good step in the right direction,
And I think I'll unfortunately in the Down with the Browns prison, the radio signal is not great, so I wasn't able to hear the AB Kevin Stefanski interview today, or press conference, excuse me. But I will say the intelligence network in the Down with the Browns prison, it's pretty active, it's pretty lively. And what I was able to kind of find out is basically the only reason that Kevin Stefanski is still with the Browns is because Jimmy Haslam's number one target, who is Jim Harbaugh, turned the Browns down, is not interested in the job. And to me, that's a huge red flag, because why would you keep Kevin Stefanski at this point? If you openly knew there was someone else that you wanted, why would you stay with him? And I get that, you don't want to downgrade, but at the same time, when we're talking about managing people, Kevin's not a dumb guy at all. He's going to know that you wanted Jim Harbaugh. He's going to know you wanted somebody else, and that's going to eat at his confidence. And and I would argue that Kevin Stefanski is not the confident coach we saw him in 2020, whether it be whatever. He just isn't. I think he's definitely lost his confidence. You don't see any of those gutsy calls like in the Cowboys game, whether it be the Jarvis Landry reverse to the that ended up him playing quarterback and throwing a deep ball to Odell for 6, or even calling that really gutsy call and trusting Odell in that reverse in that game and going through like the Browns Browns had a big man touchdown in 2020 where Baker threw a touchdown to Kendall Lamb. We have not seen play calls like that since then. But basically what I was told is that you're looking at the Browns trying to hire a big name defensive coordinator before like the head coaching circuit's over, trying to throw a lot of money at someone. The idea kind of being they're an emergency break the glass head coach. If you look at the names that have been out there, I mean, it all kind of makes sense. Brian Flores, former head coach, you can argue was wrongfully terminated. Jim Schwartz, won a Super Bowl as a defensive coordinator of the Eagles, and those Eagle defenses under Jim Schwartz were great. He was pretty successful at times with the Detroit Lions. If you go back and look, his records weren't always pretty, but if you look at kind of the lack of talent and how he was able to take an 0-16 team to making the playoffs 3 years later, and I think that's pretty impressive. Granted, it didn't end up working out in the long term, but the Lions under him, outside his first season, which they went 2-14 right after the 0-16 year, they never won less than 7 games, which I think if you think about it as an NFL head coach, that's somewhat honorable if you think of all like the flameouts. And I guess before I end up having to step out here in a couple minutes, guys, I guess I just want to start out with, do we think this is a good idea? I think it's a horrible idea if you're going to basically be hiring Kevin's replacement to sit behind him, and he's going to know it's like, because at the same time, we've already seen this. We've already seen this, like with Hugh Jackson. Everybody knows that Todd Haley was supposed to be Hugh Jackson's replacement, and how Todd Haley thought he was Hugh Jackson's replacement, that he was basically just biding time for Hugh to get fired and he was going to take over as the head coach. I mean, he even said that the interview that he got fired in, he was expecting that when he got called into, I think it was Dorsey's office, he was expecting to be told, hey, you're the interim head coach now.
Yep. But no, it's Greg.
So, Dave, what are your thoughts on the whole keeping Kevin and firing Joe Woods and not firing both of them?
Well, I think that's probably a big reason why Kevin Stefanski was sitting next to Andrew Berry today, is because he did fire Joe Woods. And I think, he's been in this league a long time. And I think he's smart enough to know that, like Dion says, coaches either get elevated or terminated. And he knew, I mean, how could he not know that he had to be there? There was some smoke under his seat. How the Browns finished and how they played this season was unacceptable. And, I think the reason he was sitting there next to Andrew Berry today and probably will be our head coach next year is because he let Joe Woods go. And that had to happen. Those players didn't play hard for Joe Woods. Not one single player gave him a ringing endorsement on all those exit interviews we watched. That stuff matters.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff matters. That's why I always say it's not so much what I hear that's important. It's what I don't hear that's important to me. And
Right.
What I didn't hear was, hey, Joe Woods was a main reason why we were able to turn it around. Joe Woods was this. You didn't hear any of that. So Kevin Stefanski, while he probably wanted to keep Joe Woods because he seems like a really good guy, didn't have a leg to stand on to go to bat for him because Joe Woods just didn't give him anything. Yeah. So I think it's time for some fresh blood. I think Kevin Stefanski needs a powerful defensive coordinator so he can kind of stay in his lane, because he needs to figure out his deal first before he worries about the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and to your point there, I think that AB should push the issue, or somebody needs to push the issue to make him give up play calling. I don't think he should be calling plays next year. I think he should be kind of like a normal head coach. Let the offensive coordinator call the plays. Let the defensive coordinator call the plays. And if he sees something, adjust and kind of help out both, and even special teams. It's like it seems like he's so focused on the offense. And like if we had just give AVP the play calls next year, let's see what that offense looks like, because Aaron Rodgers spoke very highly of him when we hired him.
He did.
Very highly. And then
that
whoever
matters.
we do. Yeah. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, all-time great. And if we can get a guy there's a bunch of good names. I really like these defense coordinators we're interviewing.
Me too.
Like Brian Flores, would love to have him. Jared Mayo. I don't know why, but I want him as our defense coordinator above anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. like it just intrigues me. He's so young because like if they do end up firing Kevin Stefanski, he's 36, going on 37. Kevin Stefanski gets the axe, we can bump him up, and he's your coach for if he's what we think he could be, possibly. He could be your coach 10, 15 years, you know? Because, I mean, he is from the Belichick tree, played for Belichick, won Super Bowls. Dude knows what he's doing.
My only
nice.
my only counter to that, Christian, name me the last guy from the Belichick coaching tree who's had long-term success as a head coach.
Ooh.
Not
One of
long
them's
term.
down to.
Like
Yeah.
I hate being that.
Down
I'm a very pro Belichick way of doing things, but if you go through the list, it is a graveyard. It's shocking. Like for example, like I wanted the Browns to hire Matt Patricia over Hugh in 2016. That didn't work out. McDaniels is a disaster. You just go through like Brian Flores. Like I think he's the only one that you could even argue long-term success where
Yep.
he had 2 consecutive winning seasons. It's just kind of it's weird for a program in New England that's been so successful and turned out all these different things. And Vrabel, Jeff, not
Yeah.
really, kinda. I mean, he was a college guy. He got his start in Ohio State. He went from Ohio State to, I want to say he went straight from Ohio State to the Texans, didn't he?
He was defensive coordinator, wasn't
But
he?
the
Yeah.
thing about Mayo that kind of, I think sets him apart is he was actually a former linebacker and was
And a
really
good
good
one.
at it.
He was,
Yep.
but here's
So like he knows how to like call, like he was doing it. He pretty much called the plays on the field.
Well, you get instant respect in the locker room is
You
what
get instant
happens.
respect.
When
I
you're an
agree.
elite player or played at a high level, in the league, and you come in and you're telling people what to do, you get instant respect, and that's something that matters.
So here's his accolades just as a player: Super Bowl champion, Defensive Rookie of the Year, All Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler, All Team Rookie, All Team Patriots, and he had 800 tackles, 11 sacks, 8 forced fumbles, 19 deflections, and 3 picks in 7 years.
Where did he go to? USC, I think.
I think he played at SEC school,
Oh, did he? Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. Let me look.
He was
that
a
up.
very good pro player. Very good.
So yeah, but
This is what I'll say about that, and this is like one thing that I've actually found that's a negative to me. And before people were like, whoa, 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 whoa. When you start going through coaches who've been successful, outside of Mike Ditka, and like within recent years, can you think of any coaches who have been a dominant? I just looked this up. I'm trying to look this up, Mac. Have been who were a dominant player who were a successful coach.
I mean, I'll
that's a
say
good
this: Vrabel. You know, he was one of the best middle linebackers that I've ever seen play the game. And
How many of the
know,
great NFL players have tried to be a head coach? Though, Matty G?
Yeah,
That's true. That's true. I guess football is one of those things.
I mean, Dion.
Yeah.
But
He's coming. He's coming.
Yeah, he'll be an
He's
NFL
coming along.
coach.
Coach, I think
But
when you kind of go through everything, and I got to unfortunately, Matty G has to go back. Got to go back to the cell block here in a little bit, but I think to kind of wrap up my little thing, the one thing to kind of build off of what Disturb Marine had said 5-10 minutes ago, what wasn't said from reading those recaps of the press conferences, Kevin did not commit to bringing back his offensive staff. I think we're going to see 3 new coordinators next year. I think, do you want my bold
Whoa.
prediction?
Here's the hot take.
let's hear it.
All right.
Browns offensive
There.
coordinator next year is going to be Cliff Kingsbury.
I saw
think he-
Kingsbury get trashed today, and I think it was by you.
I mean, if Jimmy's looking for an air raid offense, I mean, the biggest problem with Kevin Stefanski's offense right now is the quarterback's taking too many sacks. You want to adopt an air raid offense. You want to throw the ball all over the yard. You want to get the ball quick out of the quarterback's hands. Cliff Kingsbury might be the choice for offensive coordinator. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
if that's what they're going with here.
if that's what they want, that's what Cliff does. I mean, you don't have to like the guy's the head coach. He was a shitty head coach, but I mean, he basically like it would make sense. I mean, like, I'm not the only person. I've seen say this. There's been a couple other people who suggested it.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a few interesting days. And the other thing I thought was interesting, Andrew Berry was very confident that they would be able to have the assets to go replenish the roster. So what that tells me is 2 things. A, are they counting on Glenn Cook getting hired? which means that's 2 extra third-round picks on the way, which for trade bait, that is massive. A third-round pick gets you a starter at this point. So
That's true.
hypothetically, let's say they trade those 2 third-round picks. Maybe that's a starting linebacker. Maybe that's a starting – you could even see them turn that into a tackle. Offensive linemen don't go for day 1 picks. They're day 2 or day 3 picks. Maybe they turn that into a tackle we're not even thinking of. And the other thing, I think, to kind of wrap this up, sorry to cut you off, KFC, if they're going to – if they're talking about adding cap space, who's getting cut that we're not thinking about? Is it Jed Wills? Is it – I don't know. One guy
There's a couple candidates on that list.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave with my hottest take that I know Mac and I have talked about. I'm not convinced Teller's safe. I don't think they cut him, but I think if someone comes a call and offers them a 3rd or a 4th round pick, I think Wyatt Teller might be playing somewhere else.
Oh,
especially with their ability and Callahan's ability to develop talent, they could very, very cheaply replace him and kind of
he's not that great at pass blocking. You know, they want to evolve this offense. They want to pass a lot more. He hasn't worked like, I don't ever want to take away from the guy because he's one hell of a football player, and he at the time deserved the contract. Absolutely. But his pass blocking got worse. They might, could they flip him for a pick? Absolutely. I think you get a second rounder for Teller, easy. I'm a firm believer that, AB with 98% of this roster is taking calls.
Yeah,
I agree. Making them, but if the phone's ringing, he's picking it up. For 98% of this roster. Absolutely.
And Miles are the only untouchables, and I agree with Mac on that. I think, and unfortunately, he's got to go back to the cell block. My last thing, if someone calls this offseason, offers you a day 1 pick for Chubb, I do that deal 100 times out of 100. See you guys.
Wow. Yeah.
See, wow. Man. Yeah. And, whoa. Do you hear that? Oh, man. There's a stampede coming. It's what the Buffalo Herd.
Hey, Browns fans, remember, winning press conferences means nothing when you place 4th in the division. This is Mackle with the Buffalo Herd. They say it's not how you start, but how you finish. Well, the Browns finished the season just as bad as they started it, losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers 28-14. Despite it being a new year, fans are still seeing the same things. Nick Chubb being on the sidelines on 3rd down, Kevin Stefanski saying, "That's on me," and the defense getting absolutely dog-walked by a hilariously bad QB. Following yesterday's loss, defensive coordinator Joe Woods has been fired. Here at Down with the Browns, we never condone someone losing their job. Today is a sad day all around, and he will be missed by both players and fans. This is such a heartbreaking announcement made by the team, and I'm not sure how anybody can be excited about it. Today, it was reported by ESPN Jake Trotter that after rolling this year's leftover cap, the Browns will only have $2 million so far to spend this offseason. To make cuts and save money, Browns owner Jimmy Haslam has decided to give out Pilot and Flying J rebates instead of paying some players. No word on whether or not these rebates will be valid this time around. Lastly, the playoffs kick off across the NFL as wild card weekend heats up. Lots of great matchups, including a Sunday night and a Monday night game. Good to know if Browns fans want to see a competent winning football team. Looks like they have 6 games to tune into. This is Mac with the Buffalo Herd.
That was awesome, bro. That was a good one.
Outstanding.
Here's how I just want to – this is how I think the Browns should look at going into next season. They need to take the Ricky Bobby approach. If you're not first, you're last.
All gas, no brakes.
All gas, no brakes. We got to – I know we said this in the group chat. The window, and it's a loser mentality, like you said in the group chat, Mac. Mm-hmm. But the window is closing. We've got a lot of players we've got to not play. But it's closing, and we've got to make the best out of this talent we've got. We've got Deshaun Watson in his prime, Myles Garrett in his prime, Nick Chubb in his prime, and it just feels like we're wasting them. And for what? Like, we've got to win. Like, it's now or never. 2023, it's now or never. You've got to go all in. If you've got to go make some just weird trades to get talent in here, even more talent, and just bolster this roster and win a Super Bowl, kind of like the Rams did in 2021, Like, just go all out, get any piece you can, and just win a Super Bowl, then do it. Like, we've got to win now.
So just to, and I'm sorry to cut you off here before
You
I
go
lose
right
my
ahead.
train of thought. But to explain your point when I was talking about, because the guys listening at home, don't have the insight on our group chats, but when I was talking about the window being a loser mentality, I think it's kind of in line what you're saying, KFC, because here's the thing. The time is now. You quit looking at windows because you're looking so far into the future that you're losing part of the present. And the present is Nick Chubb being your offense. I don't care what anyone says. He just needs the ball more. I mean, 12 attempts when it was a one-score game for up until a weird part in the third quarter. Like, he's shown you that he's actually decent out of the backfield. And everybody goes, oh, well, he's not on third downs because Kareem Hunt he's just more dynamic out of the backfield. Well, look at the stats, okay? Kareem Hunt's averaging 6.7 yards per catch. Chubb's averaging 8. Chubb has more touchdowns and more first downs receiving than Hunt has, and Hunt has 10 more catches than him in that span over the past 2 years. So you guys tell me, it's the time to use him is now. I thought that it was a giant middle finger that they weren't even trying to get him the record.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, MC.
Yep.
He could have easily gotten 206 yards
for
that
sure.
defense on Sunday. All you got to do is just hand the ball off and just get a little bit creative with it.
Yeah.
And it's just like I don't understand it, because even in the passing game, Kevin Stefanski doesn't it's almost like his scheme is just so much better than his talent, because you have 2 wide receivers that were averaging 20 yards a catch and they only got a combined 7 targets between them.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
unfathomable.
And you know what's even crazier? The playbook is just predictable at this point. It's downhill run with Chubb, shotgun run with Chubb, and then it's going to be all deep routes. Probably there's going to be a backside dig, and then the running back is either going to swing left or right, or he's going to hit the line of scrimmage and turn around for a curl. And the defense is just reading this every single time. And the problem that I have with this, really, because everybody just says, oh, well, you're just stuck in your old ways. All you want to do is just run the football. This isn't modern NFL. It's all about the quarterback. You know what? Fine. I'll humor your argument here. Deshaun Watson's gotten sacked 12 times in the past 2 games. Now, is it because he's holding on the ball a little bit longer? Yeah, but this year and last year, the Browns have been top 5 in quarterback sacked. Like, what's going on in Kevin Stefanski's offense that the quarterback is so unsure that he has to hold the ball for 5 seconds every time? And it's not just blocking. Jake Trotter released the pass block win rate this year, which was actually better than last year. It was a whole 1% higher than last year's. So, what's going on? Why don't you want to just – it's like I just don't understand where this offensive collapse came from, because in 2020, it was all about run the ball, play action. We're going to make everything as easy as possible on the quarterback. And then it was – he got in this pissing match with Baker, and all of a sudden he just became this pass-heavy egomaniac.
Yeah.
And it's just like you have to – is Deshaun Watson the best talent that this team has had at the quarterback position? Absolutely. He is the most dynamic quarterback they've had at this position. He's got wheels, man. Why are we making him be Superman on every single play? Don't you want to make it simpler for him? The whole – we do the same thing with Miles. We line him up all over the field to create the easiest matchups. Why don't we want to create the easiest matchups for our quarterback?
KFC. Let me get it, Mac.
You got this.
Confirmed? You know who confirmed for us exactly what you just said? Deshaun Watson. Did you watch his press conference?
I did not. I got up in
Okay.
about 5 minutes of the Andrew Barry and Kevin Stefanski love fest. I turned it off. I couldn't.
Yeah, because you knew what was coming there anyway. So here,
Mhm.
Deshaun Watson revealed a lot in his
Mhm.
press conference, and one of the things Mary Kay asked him, she asked him kind of a roundabout way, like, "Hey, are you going to be involved in kind of reshaping the offense?" And Deshaun Watson bid on it, and he said, "Absolutely." He says, "I'm going to go in there with Kevin. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk man to man. We're going to," and he specifically mentioned the power run game and how we need to do more of that. He specifically said verbatim, all the runs do not need to be out of the shotgun. This is from his press conference, Mac. You will really enjoy this press conference when you listen to it, because Deshaun Watson basically told everybody that was listening, "Hey, I'm going in there and we're going to create this offense how I like it, and we're going to start winning football games." And he even said verbatim that Kevin is going to be a little uneasy because he's not used to this. It's going to be different from what Kevin's even done in the past. So Deshaun Watson, what everybody, when Mary Kay asked that question, I just took a deep breath, like, "Oh, please, please reveal something." And Watson just laid it out there. He is going to literally go in there with Stefanski with a pen and paper. They are going to lock the door, and they're not going to come out for 2 weeks until they have an offense that Deshaun Watson likes. And that's good news.
That's awesome.
That is.
That's great news.
But going back to your point, like talking about the sacks, I was noticing this. A lot of Stefanski's play calling this year and even last year, a lot of the routes are like deep concepts, and the quarterback has to stay in the pocket to let these routes develop. And like the pressure's getting right to him, so he can't wait, like get the routes where they need to be in time. So the quarterback gets sacked because he's waiting for the route to develop, and then boom, pressure, and then he's down. So that's why, like last year, we saw Baker get sacked a lot, and we saw Watson get sacked a lot this year. It's I don't know.
Dude, how did you guys feel about TJ Watt and Cam Hayward and all them guys just laughing it up? It was like a free sack giveaway. It was like they're sitting here at the last game of the season, and they're like, "All right, who needs a bonus? Who's a sack away from getting their bonus?" Everybody, and it was just like they were pinning their ears back. And it was just a sack fest, and it was embarrassing.
It was almost
they've
like
seen the play a thousand times. They've seen the movie. Kevin gives up on the run, and
it's kind of like
it's a third down and 18.
It's kind of like when you're playing Madden, and it's like when you're playing on the same console. You both are playing, and then you pick your play, and then you kind of watch the other person's hand. They hit it, so you know what they're running. So you're like, okay, I know how to adjust to this.
Christian.
That is exactly what is happening, and
that's inappropriate Madden play.
You know what I'm talking about, though. You know what I'm talking about, though.
I know exactly.
Everybody knows when you screen, like you watching that hand. Like you hitting that B.
I mean, ever since the playoff game, Kevin Stefanski has yet actually. So outside of, because technically, I'm not gonna give the playoff game to him. Screw him at this point. Outside of week 18 playing Pittsburgh's second string, he hasn't beat Pittsburgh. They've had his number, and they've ran the same defense. You know what you're getting in Pittsburgh. It's going to be blitz, it's going to be cover 2, and it's going to be man. And you have Minka. Minka's sitting there. He's not way out deep in left field.
Minka didn't want nothing to do with that game.
Well, he didn't want anything to do with Chubb.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or Kareem Hunt.
Oh, dude. Kareem Hunt had him rethinking his whole career.
Did you see that? He just hit him, and then he just started walking to the sideline while the play was still going. Unbelievable.
This is exactly how I feel about this season. For the people that that can't watch, it says Cleveland just won before I die. Please, I need a Super Bowl. I'm tired of getting picked on. I'm sick of it. Every time the Browns lose, I get messages. People just clowning me, man. And I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it.
How do you think I feel? I have relatives from Youngstown that are Steelers fans.
Shout
I
out
have
to
them
Youngstown.
calling me. I have them calling me during the game. I got my cousin Bob, and he's a great guy. He's like an older brother. And he goes, "Oh, I'm down in Florida. What's the score of the game? I can't pull it in." I know damn well Bob can pull in the game, and I know damn well that he knows the score. But he likes to pick on the younger brother, just like how Pittsburgh picks on Cleveland. I mean, it's just
Like I just want to.
they beat him. Sorry, they beat him week 3, but that's without TJ Watt. It just dawned on me. But that just seems. Doesn't that Thursday night game just seem millenniums ago?
Somebody posted the clip of Cade York kicking that 57-yarder through the uprights, and I tweeted, and I was just like, it just feels like a totally different season.
Oh yeah, feels like 3 seasons ago.
It felt like from the Chargers game after, it was just like a totally disconnected team, or even the Falcons game.
The Falcons game, yeah, I would say the Falcons game. That was the biggest.
How sad is that we have multiple games that ripped our souls out this year? I mean, literally ripped our souls right out of our chest.
Chargers,
multiple
Falcons,
dude.
The Patriots.
God.
That's talk about emotionally curb stomped by Bailey Zappi.
Yeah,
I mean,
we've lost.
I don't know what's sadder, the losses or the quarterbacks in said losses. I mean, Marcus Mariota,
they're neck and neck
with 7 completions. Like,
yeah, it was just a crapshoot of a season, and it just irks me. So, let's talk more about defensive coordinators. This part of the season actually gets me pretty hot because you start to see like the green grass, because you're like, okay, you're hopeful. You get a new person in. It's like, just you don't know what's gonna come,
Yeah, it's like a Christmas present.
Yeah, it's like a Christmas present. You're getting to open it up, and it's just a fun
nice
time.
Little bow on it.
Yeah. So, we'll start with you, Dave. So who would you like to see the Browns hire in as defensive coordinator going into this 2023 season?
Me personally, I like Brian Flores. I think Brian Flores, because I'll go at it again. While he won't garner the same respect from being an elite all-pro player, he will garner that respect from having done it before. And nobody can take away what Brian Flores did in Miami. I think he did a great job with those teams. I mean, he was set up to fail down there. He succeeded at every turn that I saw. I like his style of defense. I like the way he runs more man coverage than most other defensive coordinators. I like the way he blitzes more than other defensive coordinators. Those kind of things get our defensive players excited. Newsome, Ward, Garrett, the rest of them, Delpit, those guys like to man up because they're skilled. Like Greg Newsome said, the reason their defense got better at the end of the season is because they just simplified it and let them go play. They just simplified everything and said, hey, go make plays. And, that's what these guys are. They're highly tuned machines. They are thoroughbreds, and they're ready to just get unleashed. And nothing gets them more excited if they get a couple blitz plays and get a couple sacks, on second or third down. That momentum carries for quarters down the road. So I think Flores' defense will bring that to us. He's always run a 3-4, concerned about that. Yeah, that would be a problem, actually, because Miles is not an outside linebacker.
Well, I mean, he loves he's not afraid to kind of run a nickel most games.
Mm-hmm.
What not a lot of people realize is that Brian Flores was the second person in the league, first being the Chargers in 2018, but he was the second coach in the league to expose Lamar Jackson, running the gapped out cover zero. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know who's dropping, but it's man coverage.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more than likely going to be a guy free. Two things that, and I'll say this because you already Disturbed Marine already said Brian Flores, Jim Schwartz. If it's Brian Flores or Jim Schwartz, Browns are automatically at an upgrade.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: they're lacking in pressures, they're lacking in turnovers, and the run defense is an absolute disorganized mess. You look at Brian Flores. He in his 2020 season with the Dolphins, we're talking 7 more sacks, 50 more pressures, and he was first in the league in turnovers. And then you have Jim Schwartz, who, by the way, the reason why Jim Schwartz is a big name, because you're thinking, oh, it's the Tennessee Titans. This is Vrabel's defense. What are you talking about? Well, he's the senior assistant, number one. Number two, he was a heck of a whiz in Philadelphia with that defense.
Yep.
And the Titans this year had not only the best run defense in the league, this was their second best in franchise history at 76.9 rushing yards per game. Could you imagine if the Browns had that average this season? I mean, we're at least talking 3 more games.
Oh,
The Chargers ran for over 200. The Falcons ran for over 200. There was 5 other instances where teams were over 150 yards rushing.
Well,
So
teams,
and
they were setting season highs.
dude, the Falcons
the
were running
Browns
third-string running
secondary.
backs against us.
So
Yeah.
exactly, yeah. Like nobody knew who these guys were.
It
They
was
were
sick.
they were on the practice squad that week.
They ran the
you
ball
know?
17 straight times in that game.
Yes,
17
Yes.
straight times.
And didn't adjust.
yeah. And everybody wants to go, oh well, like Joe Woods coached a really mean secondary, and the pass defense was awesome. Well, you didn't need to throw on the Browns. You just hand the ball off.
Yep.
Because here's the thing, a defensive end, you know what, and I knew this was going to happen. KFC, did I not text a group chat saying with Clowney out, run defense is going to be a problem? What happened? They ran all over you because when you have guys like Alex Wright, Isaiah Thomas, and Chase Winovich that aren't disciplined in the run, they duck inside, they get too far upfield, they get caught with their pants down, and running back's going to cut off of them for a big gain. We're just not there. It's just not disciplined on the front center. What'd you see?
Sorry, I just saw this. I don't know if you guys had saw this. Brandon Cooks apparently made the statement that he does not want to be a part of the Texans rebuild.
Yes,
So I just saw that.
I did
Maybe
see that. I did see that.
So sorry.
Well,
to
you
change
have an extra
the-
first. Yeah, no. Let's get into it.
Let's
because
talk about it.
Here's the thing. You were telling. You were saying earlier if Glenn Cook gets hired, that's an extra 3rd round pick.
That means two.
So
I mean, trade one of them. And honestly, I know it sounds bad, and we're tired of trading back, but in that 2nd round, if you could trade back and get more assets, like more trade.
Browns need a deep threat. So
Yeah.
that completes their offense. They finally get speed because that's what they need on. They need.
Do we
horizontal
agree the
speed,
Schwartz
vertical
experience
speed.
is over?
Oh yeah. Mag was on that.
okay,
Mag
good.
was on that
I
in March.
was on that
Good.
before training camp.
Thank God.
Dude, I was just, and everybody.
Mac
goes,
was done with it
why don't
last
you
year.
just give him a
Yeah.
chance. Give him another chance. He'll be,
No.
dude. No, he was Usain Bolt in shoulder pads. Stop it.
See, I wanted to see what he had just because he was young. I thought he would improve, because he's working out a lot.
Is
You
that
know,
what you thought?
he was
Is that what you
younger.
thought?
I'm down to give people. I'm all about second chances. That's just how I am. Like I'm fine with second chances.
Well, yeah, you supported Jed Wills for 2 years in a row.
Yeah, and shut up,
Sorry.
shut it.
I'm sorry.
You straight trap now, buddy.
That was mean.
But,
I apologize.
Nah.
But yeah, Jed Wills is gone. I think I think they'll trade him this offseason, and that could be another pick.
What do you
Like-
get for Jed Wills, though? How about that?
I'd say you
you
could.
use the washing machine.
I say you could capitalize on him being still young. He's just 24. So I think you could bait somebody into trading for a young tackle.
You know
like that.
what you could do? You could sell his contract to Macy's, and he can go be a revolving door there.
Yeah, he's been a screen door. although not as bad as Conklin, and we gave him $30 million. So maybe they'll give Will some money too.
Yeah, how bad do you have to be to give the injury prone guy, across the line
Dude,
the extension?
What are we doing? Yeah, I was so excited that we're finally going to be rid of Conklin this year, and then it popped up. We extended him and gave him $30 million. I'm like, what?
And 21 of it's guaranteed, I think, right?
Something like that.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't know how I feel about what we're gonna go into the season with at tackle because I'm not sold on James Hudson at left tackle. I don't know if
I think he's better. I think he's better than what a lot of people lead up to be.
he's
believe.
good. I think he's a better guard. So if we do, like Matty G said earlier, if we do trade Taylor, I could see him sliding in as the right guard more than the left tackle.
I just wish Joe Bitonio would play left tackle because he's so good at it. He just doesn't want to. I mean,
Did he
it's
play left
understandable.
tackle in Nevada?
Yeah.
Yeah, he played left tackle
Okay.
in Nevada, and then
I
he
thought he
had
might have.
those 2 games. It was against Las Vegas Raiders, who at the time had 2 pretty. I mean, you're playing Max Crosby, and then
Khalil
you're
Mack?
playing who was
They had an Ngakoue at the time, I think.
yeah. So it was Max Crosby and Ngakoue, and then who were the Packers edge rushers? You know what? Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
so
they had
pretty
Zadarius
good
Smith.
competition.
Zadarius Smith, yeah.
Zadarius Smith
Yeah.
and Preston Smith.
Oh, even even more, man. No, I would love for Joel to play left tackle. I just don't think that he wants to. That's the
Yeah,
issue.
But I don't know how I feel about. I'm kind of scared for the offensive line, but
Things are going to get shuffled around.
yeah, things are gonna.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of player movement this year, and I think a lot of fan favorites are gonna get traded or like Taylor. Like I could see that. Like I don't want it to happen, but I could honestly see it just because of how big the contract is and his play last year. I could see that. I could also see the Browns cutting ties with JJ3 because
I hope.
post June 5th. It's like 9.5 added to the cap.
Yeah, I was about to say $9 million for
Oh.
a part-time. You know, you can't. So he trails receivers too far to be a true free safety,
Mhm.
right? And then he doesn't tackle well enough to be a box safety. So, like, where do you put him?
Well, he
You
gave
know,
up the
it's
go-ahead
your-
touchdown to George Pickens too. There, so there's that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Last game of the season, he wanted to make sure that he stuck it in us one last time. Is that inappropriate? Sorry.
His,
No, I-
well, no. I mean, like, you know,
I love
it's- Like, I'm just kind of tired of like people interviewing him in the locker room. Like, he's got something good to say.
I don't get
dude.
it.
I mean,
Exactly.
yeah,
What are you going to John Johnson for? He was an all-pro with the Rams. He was a no-pro with the Browns.
exactly.
Oh, drop
Dude,
it
he's
on hot.
terrible.
Yeah,
Terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But yeah, it's just I don't know, man. I'm nervous yet excited for this upcoming season. I just want to see the pieces. I want to see the plan kind of unfold before our eyes. I guess
It's
we'll see
coming.
more. I guess we'll see more in the next few weeks and months.
Hey, let me throw something at you guys
Let's hear
after
it.
in a second. Whenever
Yeah,
you guys get a second, let me throw something at you and tell me what
Yeah.
you think.
Go ahead, because I was
Yeah,
getting
throw
ready to
it at us right
transition
now,
into
yeah.
playoff predictions.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so,
a great
yeah, go ahead,
transition
go ahead.
too.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you guys this. So all this stuff, let me tell you how I think all this stuff started back in 2016.
Okay.
Here's my crappy take. Okay, Matty G's got hot takes. I'll just give you a crappy one, but just bear with me. One night back in 2016, in January, we'll say January 3rd, Jimmy and D are sitting there. Yes, you know where I'm going. Should I wait? I don't want to steal your
No,
thunder.
go-
if you're
go
gonna talk
ahead.
about
No,
it.
no,
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. You're
Okay.
on a
We
roll.
wanna
You're on a
hear
roll.
it.
Keep going.
So yeah,
Just making sure
Jimmy,
he's on the
Jimmy
same
and
page.
D are laying in bed, and all of a sudden we're watching something, and Moneyball's on Hulu, and Jimmy's sitting there, and they're watching Moneyball, and Jimmy looks over at D, and he says, "Where's this guy at? Like, where do we get this guy?" And D's like, "I don't know. Why don't you look it up, honey?" And he calls his assistant and says, "Hey, I need you to get me Paul DePodesta on the phone." And then the next day they have a conversation, and then they set up a meeting, and Jimmy Haslam goes all in on Moneyball Paul DePodesta because of watching a 2-hour and 10-minute movie in his bed on January 3rd. And that clock is expiring because let me tell you,
2016, he got here. Who'd he bring in? Sashi Brown and Hugh Jackson, right? That was his tag team duo right out of the gate. Hey, Jimmy, I'll go ahead and I'll do Moneyball on the Browns. Don't worry. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring in Sashi Brown as my GM, and we're going to hire Hugh Jackson as our head coach. That went 1-31. That didn't age well. So then Paul DePodesta says, uh-oh, I got to do something. He says, let me bring in, who was the next guy? Was
Freddie.
Well, who's the GM? The next guy? Dorsey.
Oh, Dorsey.
Dorsey, yeah.
So he says, let me bring in the fireball Dorsey. He'll get it fixed. And Dorsey made some great moves. He brought in some big players, and he has a losing record. Then we bring in Andrew Berry. Andrew Berry comes in. Brings in Kevin Stefanski. Kevin Stefanski brings in Joe Woods. All of this garbage is being orchestrated by Paul DePodesta because Jimmy and Dee Haslam watched Moneyball in 2016, and now we got to eat it. 6 years later, we are still eating it. Let me ask you this. Did you see the meme, the show of Jimmy Haslam when he was walking, the face he had? Somebody took a picture of him walking in the tunnel with Stefanski.
Oh, he looked like he
behind
was
him.
going to have a coronary.
His face, dude, he looked like he was ready to eat rocks. Like he was furious. Yeah. Eventually, Jimmy Haslam and Paul DePodesta are going to be in a room, and Jimmy Haslam's going to look at Paul DePodesta and be like, dude, what in the hell are you doing? Like, how long is this going to take? Because on Moneyball, you did it in one season. We're in season 6. So should I expect that we're going to be great in season 10, 2026, season 14? What should we be expecting now? And this is all Paul DePodesta, and he should come out and own it, but he can't because he only flies in 3 or 4 times a year. He'll sit down and he'll have interviews with players, and then he'll leave. So this is just such a bigger mess than I think we even know. And I just hope that somebody decides to start talking about it and find out what's really going on inside that building, because I got a feeling it's way bigger than we know.
So here's my theory on why Paul DePodesta is still here. He either orchestrated the Pilot Flying J scandal with all the rebate stuff that they offered.
That would make sense.
He has dirty pictures on the Haslams, and he is like holding them hostage, low key.
I mean, he probably has video of Jimmy getting too drunk at the the office Christmas party.
Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure. Like he has to have something on him.
There has to be.
There's something. There's no way this guy should still be employed by the Cleveland Browns.
I just never I never understood the long-lasting love for analytics. I remember when it first started being integrated into football, and you're like, okay, wow, it's awesome. We can put all of this data into numbers, and we can use that to kind of help guide us. Well, it went from a guide to a blind leader. And let me ask you this, okay? It's great that they can sound all smart, and it's great that they have all this data. When was the last time an Ivy League school won a championship?
Yes, that's
Ivy League schools are meant for academics. Okay,
this
is football.
Ago.
It's time to when it starts influencing your whole way of life, you're just another extremist.
You're a robot.
You need to have this balance. And apparently they don't have it because it's all just, and it's going to be really interesting to see whether or not that they bully Stefanski into going to play calling, because he has the tightest grip on this thing, and he will never let anyone know who's really behind the numbers. But come on, we know it's DePodesta. They do this whole analytic thing. Every single one from DePodesta down was all about analytics. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I would love Brian Flores in the building because he's a football guy.
Yep.
And football guys win.
So
yeah, we've taken 100% of the emotion out of a game that is all about emotion.
Mm-hmm. That is perfect. That was a perfect example.
They're just
So
robots.
yeah, exactly. But I've got a good situation that's kind of like the same one. You know how like
Okay.
these new garbage Star Wars movies came out?
Yes.
You know how like it was supposed to be Snoke and whatever his name is, Kylo Ren, and then
Yeah.
Palpatine was actually the guy orchestrating everything behind the scenes because they implemented it and
Yeah.
screwed it all up. But you know,
Yeah.
I think D Podesta is actually Palpatine. I think he's the one behind the scenes orchestrating it all. You know, pulling strings, and just nobody really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're
he's
starting
like
to
a
find it out.
marionette.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't surprise me at all.
You know, because our garbage football team decides to run off analytics and can't make the playoffs. Let's talk about the teams that do. Let's make some playoff predictions.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I
So-
have the list right here in front of me.
So-
So go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to throw a game out there. Seattle 49ers. Let's hear them.
Okay. You know, 49ers defense is way too good. You know, Geno Smith set the record for most passing yards by a Seattle quarterback. But you know, I don't think the Seahawks are going to be able to score more than 17 points on this 49er defense. And you have to score points to be able to beat Kyle Shanahan because that offense is rolling right now. So, you know, the line is 49ers minus 10. Yeah, they'll probably hit that. You know, 49ers by 2 touchdowns.
Yep. That's a big line in a playoff game.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Dave?
My pick,
Yes, sir.
Niners for sure.
Niners. Yeah, I've got the Niners too. I just don't think that Geno Smith's going to get it going against that defense ran by D'Amico Ryans. He's just got that
Dude,
defense
and Brock
playing out of
Purdy's
their
been
mind.
solid. 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. You know, probably a 90-some QBR or whatever the heck it is. I mean, he's been solid.
Yeah, he's been playing just out of his head. And for the next game, Giants versus Vikings. Matt?
You're like hopping days here. I have this like in order.
Oh, I
Like
was
from,
just
like,
going
Saturday to
NFC and then
Sunday.
AFC. My bad.
Okay, gotcha. No worries. Vikings haven't been able to run the ball, you know, the past couple weeks, and you know, outside of some miraculous comebacks, Vikings have not looked good. And you're putting Kirk Cousins in another playoff game. Brian Daboll has a squad over there, and
He's a
you know,
dog.
they can, if they get that offense going, you know, I think that's going to be the upset of the week. You know, I'd say Giants by a field goal.
Okay. Dave?
Yeah, I take the Giants as well. I do. I think Kirk Cousins in the playoffs is a real thing. So when they were down big in that game where he came back, I mean, I got a couple friends that are Vikings fans, and we were talking during that game, and even the Vikings fans know that Kirk Cousins in the playoffs is just not good. So, yeah, to give me the Giants, KFC.
So I'm going to go opposite of you guys. I think Kurt Thuggins is going to show up. Justin Jefferson, arguably the best receiver in the game right now. I think they are going to
Beast.
ball out, and I think they're going to make a statement. And I'm going to take Kurt Thuggins and Justin Jefferson to win the game.
I'm only asking this because Manny isn't here, and usually he does like all the like adult stuff. Are we like keeping tally?
I've kept mine. I've not kept your guys's. Let me.
Okay, so
I'll
I
mark yours.
will.
You'll keep yours.
What? Yeah. No.
Okay, I've
definitely
got all
mark
mine. I've.
Well, here
I'll-
I'll just make a list and send it to you afterwards. I don't know why we're doing.
Okay.
This, like,
Yeah.
This whole bit back and forth on.
Yeah. We'll clip that out.
Yeah, we'll clip that out.
All right, for the next game, Cowboys versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, I was. You know what? To me, I mean, I'm taking Tampa Bay, but I'm not liking it. To be honest with you, I don't feel good about it. But something in my gut just says TB12.
Yep.
Yeah.
will find a way to get it done. But the Cowboys have looked terrible, and then sometimes they haven't looked terrible. But I just don't think there's any momentum there, and I think Brady wins.
Yeah, Tony Pollard's banged up, and he's their best running back. Dak has been throwing crazy amount of interceptions, whether they bounce off the receiver or not. Stop crying, Cowboys fans. They're still interceptions. Okay. The old man gets
What's the
on
line
the
on that
horse one more time. Bucks +3. I'm taking Tampa Bay. I know it's going to be ugly, but you're telling me Tom Brady getting the ball back with like a minute 30 and a timeout, and he marches down the field. Yeah, he's never lost to Dallas in his entire career. Tom
Yeah,
Brady's been playing since like black and white VHS tapes, and the Cowboys have not beat this man.
I'm pretty sure Tom Brady's signature is on the Declaration of Independence. Like, he's been playing that long.
Yeah, honestly, freaking might be.
So I'm also taking Tampa Bay. There's like people you don't bet against. Kind of like I don't bet against LeBron. I don't bet against Tom Brady either. So I'm taking Tampa Bay, and I think it's gonna be a close one, but I think they're gonna march down the field right at the end and have a little bit of that Tom Brady magic. And going to the AFC, we've got Bills versus Miami. Dave, if you want to take this one.
Yeah, I mean, Miami, almost got their coach fired by pulling it out. Luckily, they limped into the playoffs. But, this could be another massive blowout, in my opinion. So, I don't. Miami was a very, very strange team this year. I mean, to go from being so epically great and way better than anybody even thought to having basically almost a catastrophic meltdown at the end. And I understand, anytime Tua is not on the field, that's going to make a difference. But it's just there's something else with that team, and they're not firing in all cylinders. So that's a no-brainer. If you just said the Bills and the Dolphins, is that what you said?
Yeah, Bills Dolphins.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer, Bills.
Yeah, I'm taking the Bills. I think they've got a little extra to play for now after last or 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
they're
on like a
calling
different
the
level.
game.
They're a different level right now. Like
yeah.
they're like doing it all for him. So like I think they're gonna be playing out of their mind. And
although the Bengals fans think that they were going to thump them, but
no, that's not happening now. I think I'm actually going to switch my Super Bowl prediction. I think the Bills are going to get their first Super Bowl ever. I know that we're talking about the playoff games this year, and I said Kansas City earlier, but I think the Bills are going to get it.
Who do they play, KFC?
The Bills or the Chiefs?
And no, who do the Bills play in the Super Bowl to win their first Super Bowl ever?
I'm going to say I said Vikings earlier, and I'm still feeling that. So I think the Vikings are going to pull out a Super Bowl. Like, go to it.
Okay, all right.
I'm sticking with the Vikings.
Hey,
man, dude, if you want to be wrong,
hey, I mean, I'm wrong a lot, so I'm just taking. I like Kirk Cousins, I like Justin Jefferson, and I like how they do things up there in Minnesota because they do have a dome.
But this Bills Dolphins game is absolutely obvious. I think we're gonna see the first blacked out playoff game, where they do it just like, hey, we're gonna like cut to commercial break because it's 56-0, and this isn't fun.
I think we're gonna see Case Keenum getting some snaps. Let's be real.
Well, I mean, like Tua's still in percussion.
George is up
protocol.
7 right now.
Like why? Like why are they even gonna like it? And I mean, I get it. This is Mike McDaniel's first head coaching gig. This is his first playoff game. Obviously, he wants to go out there and try his best.
Yeah.
But oh, dude, it's
against one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like,
this is more adversity than the Browns faced when they had half their roster and their head coach out with COVID.
Yeah. For sure. And moving to the next game, we've got the Ratbirds versus the Bungles. Okay. So, Dave, we'll let you take that one first.
I'm taking Joe Shiesty and the Bungles to beat the Ratbirds, probably, I don't know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 34-17. I think Joe Mixon gets going. I think the Bengals got a lot of swag right now, and I think they're underappreciated if that's even possible, but I still feel like they're a little underappreciated for what they got going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's still up in the air if Lamar's even going to play. I think he will, though. But I think the Bengals, they're hitting stride right at the right time. And I think they'll win this game pretty heavily.
Yeah, I don't even know if even if Lamar is in, that they're going to beat the Bengals. It's they just don't. Now, granted,
Yeah.
there is a possibility if they bring Lamar back, and they run this read option and they just make it a strict ground game and they control the tempo. There is that like 5% chance that they can actually make it work. But again, Lamar Jackson has to come back. He still hasn't practiced all week. He's got a bum wheel and he's a mobile quarterback, so it kind of makes things hard. Bengals by at least 2 touchdowns and a field goal.
Somebody said Lamar making a business decision and not playing. That might be correct.
I think.
Hey,
I think
we
pulls
don't
it.
blame you, big dog. Get the contract.
Yeah, for
Get out of
sure.
the AFC
Money,
Yeah,
get
North.
your money.
Yeah, exactly. And then the last game is the Chargers versus Jacksonville. I want to take this one first. I think what Doug Peterson is doing in Jacksonville is special because he has gotten T-Law. Because everybody was like, T-Law's a bust, T-Law's garbage last year and all this because of what Urban Meyer and that whole shebang was last year. But I think Jacksonville pulls it out because I don't think Justin Herbert is that guy just yet. So I think T-Law and the Jacksonville Jaguars win in a close one, 24-21. So,
Okay. I'm gonna have to disagree with you there. Chargers, their backs are up against the wall. I mean, this is the third year with Brandon Staley, and he's sweating bullets right now. I mean, the guy, he had to have a pretty good run, down the line here to make these playoffs. They're practically a road team every single game that they play because they don't even have home field advantage in their own stadium.
yeah.
I think Justin Herbert is feeling this pressure because, I can put up all these great stats and, I had the best stats, the first 2 seasons of my career. And, I'm a top 5 QB, but everybody says playoff wins. Can you win when it matters? I think that it's sitting with them. It's sitting with him. It's sitting with Brandon Staley. And I think that Justin Herbert is going to go lights out this game. Now, what is that going to mean for the other side of the ball? Jaguars are going to have to go pass heavy. And whose pass rush do I like more, Chargers or Jacksonville? I'll take Chargers. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a close game, touchdown difference, if that. I think it's going to be something like 31 to 35 or something like that. It's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm very much excited for this game because I think it's the most evenly matched game on the schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll actually go with KFC on this one. However, I'd actually stretch it even further. I think Jacksonville rolls up the Chargers, to be honest with you. I agree. I also like what Doug Peterson has going on there. The leadership to me matters. I see a difference in that team from week 1 to week 18. And I think the Jaguars hit them in the mouth early, and I think the Chargers crumble and lay down. And I think the Jaguars beat them by more than 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, Bosa did get hurt again, so it could be. I don't know how serious the injury is, but like you said, I do agree. I think Doug Peterson outcoaches Staley this game, and I think that's where coaching matters at Browns. So I think that's where it's gonna end at. I think Doug Peterson gets that dub. But, this has been a fun episode, boys.
Thanks
Yes.
for having me on.
We appreciate
Hey, thanks for coming on a
Yeah.
Black Monday, man.
Dude.
Sorry to I wish we could have brought you in at a better time.
Yeah, man. It's like you got me all hopped up and brought me into a funeral.
Yeah, dude.
One last thing before we go. Let's do a Browns score prediction. Oh, wait. We can't make the playoffs because of our garbage coaching. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. And go Browns.
Go Browns.
Whisper that right now.